And just hours from now, one of the suspects in the execution-style murders of an Ohio family will make his first court appearance. Billy Wagner, the man on the far left, is one of the 4 people charged in the killings. 8 members of the Rhoden family were found dead in separate homes. This is April 2016. Investigators say issues over custody of a young child played a role in the crime. Let's stay on that story here. Again, unthinkable here. The murder of an entire family, basically. A family, they were once friends. Well, now you've got victims, again, ages 16 to 44. Pike County Sheriff says that Billy, Angela, George, and Jake Wagner spent months planning out the slings that stunned the small town of Piketon. This is April 22nd, 2016. Of the cloak of darkness, the Wagners entered 4 separate homes and murdered the Rhoden family execution style.
Members of one family conspired, planned, carried out, and then allegedly covered up their violent act to wipe out members of another family. They did this quickly, coldly, calmly, and very carefully.
They studied the victims' habits and their routines. They knew the layouts of their homes. They knew where they slept.
19-year-old Hannah Mae Rhoden was shot twice in the head. Her days-old newborn was beside her in bed. Thankfully, the infant was unharmed. There were no witnesses to the murders. The Wagners could have got away with it. Now, the sheriff said they did. Well, they left a trail, we'll say. You know, you've got execution-style murders, but there was a trail left behind. Parts to build a silencer. There were forged documents. One of the forgeries, custody papers, and that's a possible motive here.
There certainly was obsession with custody, obsession with control of children. I just might tell you this is just the most bizarre story I've ever seen in being involved in law enforcement.
Let's bring in CNN senior law enforcement analyst, former FBI Assistant Director Tom Fuentes. Let's pick up on that. Is this a bizarre case in your eyes as well?
Oh, absolutely, Mike. It's extremely bizarre. And I think, you know, a good part of this is when you have, let's say, a crime of passion, even if it's going to be planned out to get somebody that's your enemy, to include 8 people and to take your whole family, or 4 members of your family, your wife and 2 sons, to go do it. That part's just completely incredible to me.
Talk about the investigation. This is about 2.5 years, and I just mentioned some of the breadcrumbs, let's say, that the Wagners left behind. How patient do you have to be as an investigator when you've got a case like this and you're just looking for those clues?
Well, you have to be very patient and very diligent and meticulous, and we know some of the leads took investigators as far away as Alaska. We don't know all the details of that. And we don't know many of the details about the planning and execution of these murders. And one good reason for that we won't, is if one of the 4 subjects charged in this case decides to cooperate and give details, that they'll have information that no one else would have. So the police are not going to put everything out in public where they'll have other people call in and provide false confessions, which happens a lot, believe it or not. So they withhold facts that only the murderer or co-conspirators in the murder would be aware of.
Got it. Custody, child custody's potential big motive here, because we know that Hannah Rhoden, one of the victims, and Jake Wagner, one of the accused, they had a child together, a 3-year-old daughter who survived this, by the way. Do you see that as main motive, this child custody?
No, I'm not going to say what the main motive is. And the police, were saying that could be a possible motive. And I think, for now, I think we need to leave it at that. We just don't know. And again, even if that was the case, that this custody battle between the father and, the young lady that was the mother, how does that bring in the parents, the father, the mother, the brother? So the fact that this murder appears to have been and is alleged to have been a family affair in terms of detailed planning and then carrying it out, there may be more to this than a custody battle.
Yeah, there's allegedly marijuana being grown in and around some of these crime scenes as well. Again, back to the investigative work here. We're talking 500 interviews, 1,100 leads, encompassing 10 states, including Alaska. You've got a case like this, though. I mean, that's what you have to do, right, Tom?
You have to go where the leads take you. And I think that's an important distinction, that you can't immediately jump to a conclusion, oh, the Wagners did it and that's it, get a couple pieces of evidence and say we're done. You have to go into every possible detail of this thing and make sure that you have left nothing to chance, nothing uninvestigated, because especially in a case like this, if they're going to prove that these 4 people committed the murders and seek the death penalty in this case, that's going to be a very, very high bar to show the planning that went into this, that this was not a crime of sudden passion, that this was something that they planned for a long time. And then they'll have evidence of what went into that planning, what items they may have purchased during that 2-year period, what other work they might have done, other people that they may have talked to during that time. So there is a tremendous amount of work that goes into this kind of a case.
Yeah, allegedly. I mean, they watched and studied routines, where the family slept, the layout of the home, all of that. I'm sure we'll get more info as we go. Tom, thanks again. Tom Fuentes. Appreciate it.
You're welcome, Mike.